I want to make certain that in no way does Russia get a pass in either your mind or your heart, or in any policy recommendation you would make or not make.
Senator, I'm offended by the question because my sole focus, commitment, and responsibility is about our own nation, our own security, and the interests of the American people. In carrying out the responsibilities of the Director of National Intelligence, if confirmed, no country, group, or individual will get a pass in my fulfilling that responsibility of providing that full intelligence picture so that you all can make the best informed policy decisions for the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. You have my commitment to be completely objective, unbiased, and apolitical, and I hope you understand my commitment to our country's interest.
Absolutely ridiculous. That was a ridiculous question, and she handled it brilliantly. This Senator Moran is a garbage human being for thinking that. Let's see what she has to say.
Before I close, I want to warn the American people who are watching at home. You may hear lies and smears in this hearing that'll challenge my loyalty to and my love for our country. Those who oppose my nomination imply that I am loyal to something or someone other than God, my own conscience, and the Constitution of the United States, accusing me of being Trump's puppet, Putin's puppet, Assad's puppet, a guru's puppet, Modi's puppet, not recognizing the absurdity of simultaneously being the puppet of 5 different puppet masters. The same tactic was used against President Trump and failed. The American people elected President Trump with a decisive victory and mandate for change. The fact is, what truly unsettles my political opponents is I refuse to be their puppet.
Amazing. Tulsi Gabbard is great. She just tells it like it is. She is a true patriot.
The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once but twice. And yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable. Under John Brennan's leadership, the CIA abused its power to spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Under Biden, the FBI abused its power for political reasons to try to surveil Catholics who attend traditional Latin Mass, labeling them as quote-unquote radical traditionalist Catholics. Personally, just 24 hours after I criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly, there are more examples. The bottom line is this must end.
I agree. It's very sad to see what happens with Tulsi Gabbard, honestly. She was on the terror watch list for a long, long time and never should have been there.
I'm dismayed by the attacks on Ms. Gabbard's patriotism and her loyalty to our country. For instance, Hillary Clinton has smeared Ms. Gabbard, calling her an asset of a foreign nation. Let me remind everyone that Ms. Gabbard has served in our Army for more than 2 decades. She has multiple combat tours, and she still wears the uniform to this day. She has undergone 5 FBI background checks. I spent more than 2 hours last week reviewing the latest, putting eyes on more than 300 pages. It's clean as a whistle. It's fine that we have differences of opinions on policies and programs. I suspect some of my Republican colleagues might disagree with some of Mrs. Gabbard's votes in the House of Representatives. Just as I suspect that some of my Democratic colleagues might criticize Ms. Gabbard's statements and actions since she saw the light and left the Democratic Party. But I sincerely hope that no one today will impugn Ms. Gabbard's patriotism and integrity.
Exactly, she saw the light and left the Democratic Party. Tulsi Gabbard is very intelligent, she's very smart, she's a true patriot and will do great things. She will have a great career with the Democratic Party or not.
Like he'll be confirmed. Tell me about Tulsi and RFK Jr. What are your colleagues on the Republican side thinking here?
Well, I hope that they're listening carefully to what both nominees said. I got to talk to RFK today under oath at the hearing. I thought he did spectacularly. He was honest. He was direct. He was forthright. As for Tulsi Gabbard, you know, here's her real sin, Jesse, in the eyes of so many of the Washington establishment of both parties. Her sin is she challenged the surveillance state. She told the truth about the government spying on Americans, about the abuses of FISA. She went out there and was honest about it, and for that, she is getting absolutely roasted and persecuted. That's the real issue here, and I hope that Republicans will look at both of these individuals and say, these are truth tellers, these are people who are going to disrupt the status quo, and they're going to get their agencies, the government, back to serving the American people and telling us the truth. Wouldn't that be a refreshing change?
That would be amazing. I hope Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel get confirmed, and Robert Kennedy as well.
Not acknowledging what was obvious at the time and what has unfortunately borne true, which was that a regime change war in Syria, much like the regime change wars in Iraq, the toppling of Gaddafi and Mubarak, while these are all dictators, would likely result in the rise of Islamist extremists like Al-Qaeda taking power. I shed no tears for the fall of the Assad regime, but today we have an Islamist extremist who is now in charge of Syria, as I said, who danced on the streets to celebrate the 9/11 attack, who ruled over Idlib with an Islamist extremist governance, and who has already begun to persecute and kill and arrest religious minorities like Christians in Syria.
I understand.
Why that should be acceptable to anyone is beyond me.
It shouldn't be.
Certainly
and
not in our
I appreciate your answer and thank you. My concern has to do with the tendency to repeat Russian and Syrian, and even in some cases, I think we'll get into in the closed session, Iranian information, and to discount what comes from our intelligence community.
Senator, every American deserves to know that people in our own government were providing support to our sworn enemy, Al-Qaeda. That should not be acceptable by anyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, Tulsi Gabbard. Honestly, she is great. Tulsi Gabbard is gonna do great things. I believe she should be confirmed at the head of the intelligence branch of the Trump administration. I think she's not a puppet at all. I think she left the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party run a vendetta against her. She would not obey the Democratic Party leadership because she is very smart, she is very intelligent, and she has her own mind. She saw right through their lies and is now by the side of Donald Trump in the Republican Party. Tulsi Gabbard is now a Republican Party, and if she, I hope so, if she gets confirmed, she's gonna do great things for the American people. Just look at how many people just saw this clip. So many people support her already. 4.7 million views, 2.2 thousand comments, 132,000 likes. That's insane. I think Tulsi Gabbard explaining the deep state corruption used against Trump was beautiful to watch in this clip. Just look at how amazing she looks right there in this picture. It's time to confirm Tulsi Gabbard. I agree. Do you like Tulsi Gabbard? I like her, honestly. I hope she gets confirmed. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video with me today. I appreciate you being here as always, and click right there to watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye.